Okay, here's some more grain. Yes, there's some more grain. You don't need the whole dish. You don't need the whole dish. They like to play with their baby toys too.
Mm.
Yeah, they have baby toys all over. They like. Okay, there you go.
But they kind of forget about it when there's food around.
Yes. And then over here, we have Bob is the light fawn one. Snickers is the brown one, and Casino is the gray one. Now, Snickers is Rocky's boy. And Snickers is our youngest alpaca. He is 3 years old now. And Casino, I believe, is going on 11 now. He's our oldest boy. Oh, this humidity is bringing out these flies.
How about Rocky? How old's Rocky?
Rocky's about 9 now.
And how long do they usually live?
20, 25 years. So Casino here is right about midlife. I was born in Stockton, California, which is in Northern California. And the only reason I was born in Stockton is because Manteca didn't have a hospital. So Mom made it to the hospital in Stockton, but I was born and raised on a dairy in Manteca, California. Graduated from Manteca High School. So I worked for the phone company for 32 years. And then I retired. Didn't want to retire. I loved my job, but they kept closing the offices down, so I had no place to go. So I had to retire. So I was off work for about a year, and then I went to work for Gallo Winery in Modesto, California, part-time, and worked there for about 4 years. And then that's when Terry retired.
Yep. After 37 and a half years, worked for the federal government. And so we sold our house in the valley, in the San Joaquin Valley, and we moved up to the hunting property where we had our trailer and stuff. And so we were...
So where was that? Where was the hunting property?
That was in Sheep Ranch, California.
Okay.
Now that's just right up the road from Mountain Ranch. Population 32.
Yeah.
We were living up there, and we decided to take a vacation, and we had always wanted to take a train vacation. So we figured out our itinerary and jumped on a train and pretty much went around the nation on a train. We were gone for 29 days. We stopped here in Cleveland. It was where the train stopped. My sister lived in Kingsville. And so we were here visiting my sister and brother-in-law, family, and friends in Andover and Cherry Valley. We were taking a ride one afternoon and saw a sign on the telephone pole that said farm with an arrow. So we turned down this dirty dirt road.
Yeah.
Come to find out it was Root Road. And anyway, there was a sign in front of this farm saying it was for sale. Well, before we left, about 10 days later or 7 days later, we bought this farm. And we got home and we were just trying to decide what to do with it.
You bought it and didn't know what you were going to do with it?
No.
Yeah, that's
no.
right.
So my nephew lived here for 6 or 8 months while we decided over the winter and stuff. And so I was watching TV one evening and they had an infomercial about alpacas. And I called Glenda in from the kitchen. I said, you have to see this. I have never seen these animals before. And so we started researching it and visiting alpaca ranches in California. came out to Ohio and visited more alpaca farms out here, and decided maybe that was something we could do as we get older or more seasoned. So that's how the whole thing started. And
well, I grew up on a dairy, and so I knew I didn't want dairy cows. You know.
This is easier?
Oh, this is a whole lot easier.
oh, alpacas are real easy.
They're very easy, and they're little eaters. They don't eat much. So as far as expense goes, financially, they're easy.
But you've expanded into beef cattle, right?
Yes.
Right.
And you have the rabbits.
Yes. And pigs.
And pigs.
Chickens.
Chickens.
And I want the 2 Nigerian dwarf goats. I'm still looking for those.
I don't know. Fortunately we had a mentor. The folks that we bought our first alpaca from mentored us and taught us
A lot.
But we learned a lot as we went along. We made a lot of mistakes, but we learned from them. Did a lot of research. Talked to a lot of vets. Did a lot of research on the internet. Talked to other ranchers.
We went to Michigan, and we took a neonatal class. And so both of us, and then our youngest son, he also took a neonatal class. So, you know, fortunately, we did know how to do something in case of an emergency during birth. Yeah, and then one thing too, the other folks around that are in the alpaca business that have more experience, all you have to do is call them, and they are so helpful in any medical situation or anything. They're very, very good.
You know, the hair length, they're usually sheared in April or early May before it gets too hot. Well, then it takes a full year to grow out, but when it grows out, the length of the hair will be 4.5 to 5 inches. So that's a pretty big fur coat as the winter deepens. I go out to do chores, and more times than not, those alpacas will come in and they'll have an inch of ice on their back, or they'll be covered in snow, and they can get into the barn anytime they want. It's all free choice. Into the barn, under the lean-to, or outside, and they're outside a lot.
They don't like the heat.
Yeah, we have to have fans going for them in the summer months. It's just too hot for them.
Was the birthing pen, and then this paddock area out here was the paddock area for mama and baby, and that little strip of grass was the pasture for mama and baby for the first 3 days, because then we would keep an eye on them to make sure everybody was healthy and mama had plenty of milk. And then after 3 days, if all was well, then they all went out with the herd, the rest of the herd.
Just after 3 days?
Just after 3 days. But since we aren't doing, you know, all of that breeding anymore, what we've done is we've converted the paddock area into my new herb garden. And the birthing pen here is now my fleece room. And this is where I skirt the fleece, I card it. I'll have another table set up in here, and I will dye it. Oh, of course.
And so what, you make hats?
Yes, I make hats. And I like to needle felt, and these are my felting needles. And this is where I do a lot of my work in here in this room.
And so tell me now, you have 4 alpacas now. You used to have how many?
At one time, we had 19 at one time, but we've had more than 19 alpacas. That's just all we've had all at one time.
And all you have now are males?
Just the 4
So you're
boys.
kind of slowly getting out of it? Or?
No, we're not getting out of the business at all. We're just cutting back. Since we knew that we didn't want to do any more breeding, we contacted a friend of ours. Her and her husband are increasing their herd. So they bought all of our females. So, but we still have Rocky and Snickers for stud service. Casino and Bob are both geldings. So they're just pets. Yeah, back when we had all the alpacas, the alpaca barn up there, that was only for the females and the crias. Cria is a baby alpaca. So that's where the mamas and the babies were. All this back here, these pastures and these paddock areas here, these all belong to the males. But since we don't have all of the girls anymore, we just moved the 4 boys up there. And so this paddock area here, Terry is converting this little paddock area into his fish cleaning station. I would like to have a couple of Nigerian dwarf goats. I think they're so cute, so I want a couple of Nigerian dwarf goats. So when I do get those, they will have this pasture, and then this paddock area will belong to the little Nigerian dwarf goats.
They'll send out little emails telling you won money then?
Yeah. Now this one, and from here over, will all belong to rabbits. And in here is the beginning of the rabbits. This is, see down there is some little ones.
Oh yeah. So what are the rabbits for?
This breed is the New Zealand breed, and these are meat rabbits. We will do all of the extracting of the honey, and all the bottling is what will take place in here.
Okay. So you told me off camera that you have bees out in the woods.
Yes.
How many acres do you have?
100.
Okay.
We have 100.
And surrounding the farm areas, the wooded areas, and the wooded areas where the bees are.
Correct.
Okay.
But this is where Terry will bring in, well, the foundations. But you explain that. You know more about the bees than I do.
Well, yeah. What's going to happen is the bees will have honeycomb and honey stored on frames that look something like this. This is what they start out as. And they build out the honeycomb, fill it with honey, and they cap it. And it actually, turn it over right there.
Got honey all right.
Oh, it's dripping.
It's dripping, yeah.
Okay.
It's dripping.
It looks like that. It then goes into the extractor, and
What's this thing?
it's like a centrifuge, and it spins. The frames fit in there like that, and it's like a centrifuge, and it spins the honey out, and it comes out this gate right here.
So it just comes out there like a beer keg or something.
Yeah.
And in fact, when this is going on, this is open all the time, and it'll go into a container, and then from that container we'll screen it and filter it, and then put it into a bottle and put a label on it, and it'll be in the gift shop.
Yes, this is our gift shop. Now, this started out as a chicken coop. There was no chickens when we moved here, but I was the only one that could walk in here because the ceiling was so low. Terry or the boys couldn't walk in here. It was too low. And at that time, this wall back here was a solid wall. This wall here had 3 windows. There was a personnel door here, and then the little chickens, there was a little bitty door right down here, and the chickens would go out there and go out in that little picket fence area. So what we did is Terry and some of our Amish neighbors, they just kind of basically tore a lot of stuff down and raised the roof, and so it's completely insulated now. I have heat in the winter, and I have air conditioning and carpet. So it's very nice in here now, but this did start out as a chicken coop.
And you have hats and gloves.
Oh, yes.
And scarves and purses.
Yes, yes.
So is there an
All they
advantage
have
to having this stuff from alpacas? I mean, as far as, I don't know, people with allergies or anything like that? Or?
Yes. the alpaca is hypoallergenic. Because the hair follicles of alpacas are hollow. There's no lanolin in them like there is in a lot of wool. You know, there's lanolin. And so it's much softer and it's much warmer than wool because air is an insulator. And so that makes it softer and warmer. Okay, this is our Little Free Library, and the Little Free Library is a national program. And it is bring a book, take a book, and we are registered online. So anybody that's vacationing and wants to know about libraries will come up. That's our charter number right up there. And so this is just a little cabinet that I painted, and then Terry built all this to hold it. And then here is just little books. You just take them and
you take one and put another one to replace it.
Or take it, and then if you're not around and can't replace it, well, then you don't. Somebody else will. Because that's the way it works. You just take one, and one of these books, if we got vacationers, and let's say they took this book might end up in a Little Free Library in some other state. And we might end up getting books here from some other state. You know, it's just a Little Free Library. Yep. And that's what that is.
And it's littlefreelibrary.org.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So you're traveling around, you want to see where there is one, you put that in?
Yeah.